what is going on? A little bit different time than usual. Obviously, we are living in different times right now. So we wanted to actually go live in the afternoon because we know that most people are still kind of locked down. You know, people still getting shoveled out and plowed out and things of that such. So if we could be some help to Cincy at Buffalo and give some assistance here, the least we could do is maybe go live in the afternoon, get some people something to take their mind off things, and I don't know, listen to us for a second. But obviously, as you guys know, the Buffalo Bills clinch their third AFC East title on Saturday with their win against the Chicago Bears. Now, I've been saying for a while, the AFC East title was not as important to me as it was other people, but I am still happy they did it, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, James. But before we get too far into the show and we do the intro, James, what's going on? How you living? How's everything going with you?
Man, I'm good, man. Been snowed in for about a week, almost a week now. I haven't left since Thursday, but
Okay.
family safe. I'm safe. So listen, you won't hear no complaints out of me. Just wish everybody the best, and we want to come and bring you something where you can smile a little bit and kind of take your mind off the reality of what's going on with this terrible storm. So we can kind of bring y'all a little bit of entertainment for the next hour.
That's it. So either that, we're gonna today we're gonna be talking about a couple things. We talk about obviously the Bills clinch AFC East, what it means. Obviously, we've seen the other AFC East teams kind of take a nosedive. We'll be talking about Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis has been a hot topic late. If you guys have not been paying attention, Gabe Davis, I think he is like 197 yards, something like that, away from 1,000 yards. So we'll talk about him because there's been some questions about if he's a number 2 receiver or not, and I don't think it's a fair question. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the Bills' running game, as I like to call them, double trouble back there right now. Devin Singletary and James Cook looking really good, leading this team to some W's. And then I think the final topic is obviously the lack of involvement of Stephon Diggs over the last couple of games. We're going to talk about the pros. Obviously, there was a big con to that, but we're going to talk about the pros as well. So other than that, stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. So obviously the Bills clinched their third AFC East title in a row. Uh, there were some questions about if the Bills were going to do this. Obviously, after the Jets loss, they started off the year 0-2 within the AFC East, lost to Miami, lost to the Jets, and obviously all 3 other teams in the AFC East were looking pretty good at the time. The Dolphins were looking like potentially Super Bowl contenders. Obviously, we know that has come down. And the words are great of, I won't say great yet, but in the words of Bills coach Sean McDermott, you don't want to peak too early.
Yep.
Now the Bills have ran off. They've rattled off 6 straight, as you said they would. You said you said specifically you thought they would run the table when they were 6-3.
I did.
Guys like Von Miller told you, nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. And they've come to show this. Well, what does that third AFC title mean to you? How much onus do you put on that? Because Josh Allen made a little bit of a comment saying, he's getting a little tired of this hat. They need to switch the hat up a little bit. We know what he's talking about, right? Well, what does it mean to you as far as just 3 years in a row AFC champions?
I mean, to me, it's a great accomplishment. I don't want to take nothing away from it. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But as an organization, you start to set a different standard. Where we had the drought, it's like, oh, we won the AFC East. That gives us a guaranteed spot in the playoffs.
Right.
Now it's more like, for me, it's about when you peak and when you're hitting your stride and when you're getting hot. I didn't really care about us winning the AFC East.
Right.
I really wanted to make sure we were playing well week 16, 17, 18 and into the playoffs, right? That's what's going to get you there. It's not a prereq to get to the Super Bowl. Like, okay, you got to win your division to get to the Super Bowl. Like, come on, man. Like, nah, we want to be playing well at the right time. And I think that was the most important thing for me. Once again, it's cool and it's great to win the AFC East to know you at least got that one home game, right? But, I mean, let's roll.
And I guess I was in the same neighborhood as you, right? We've seen it. We've won it twice already, and both times we went into Kansas City and lost. Like I said, it's nice. I think it's also, as I said before, I think it's more of a fan bragging right thing at this point in time. Like, even if the Miami Dolphins somehow would have won the AFC East, I don't think there's too many Dolphin fans that would honestly say that the Dolphins were definitively better than the Buffalo Bills. Unless they were just those fans that were willing to lie to your face. There weren't too many Patriot fans that are going to say that. We know that the Bills were king of the hill in the AFC East. We already knew this. This is another stamp that, hey, supplant that and say, hey, yeah, we are. Here it is 3 years in a row. And like I said, it's great. I'm with you. I don't want to take anything away from it. But I said at the beginning of this year, and I'll continue to say it now, this is a Super Bowl bust team. If we're not talking about a Super Bowl, and we're not talking about Super Bowls, then we don't have anything to talk about at this point.
You're right. You're right.
That's just being realistic. If we're not talking Super Bowl, then what conversation are we having?
100% right, JT. I'm with you. I'm right with you.
But I will say this. The fact that they won this AFC East title and they rattled off 6 straight, and they started off in the AFC East 0-2. They didn't hit the panic button. They're peaking at the right time. And most importantly, they're finding this run game at the right time. Because obviously we saw a game move from Buffalo to Detroit because of the weather. We saw this game. Thank God the Bills had an away game this week. Where they had to leave early and travel a day ahead. And no more on Chicago's weather wasn't great. It was beyond freezing out there.
They said that if the grass felt like concrete, I think Devin Singletary said that.
Motor said it. Yeah, Motor said it. It's the biggest thing is this, right? We need to find this run game because, as we've seen in Buffalo over the last month and a half, this weather is literally unpredictable. What you may game plan for on Tuesday, you may not be able to run on Sunday.
Yeah, you're right.
As far as having home field in Buffalo.
Yep.
They're just being realistic because that's just how fast things can change. But I want to dig into this run game a little bit. Obviously, the Bills versus the Bears, they rattled off 254 rushing yards this game. Leading the way was my guy Devin Singletary, 12 carries, 106 yards. TD, 8.8 yards a carry. James Cook, 11 carries. I was hoping he's got a 100-yard game. He needed 1 yard. 1 yard. 99 yards in the TD. And Josh Allen added another 41 with 6. McKenzie with 6 and Hines with 2. Hey, James, I mean, what did you see from this running game? What are you seeing? What is the main difference right now? What's happening?
You could tell it's an emphasis on the running game.
Okay.
It's an emphasis. Because of schemes. You could tell everybody's it's not that it wasn't before, it's a sense of urgency to get to where you need to be. They're running the ball with more confidence. What I don't understand, and I'm getting on some people in Bills Mafia. I am. You wanted a running game. You wanted the Bills to be able to run the ball and be effective running the ball and win a game running the ball. They do that, and then people complain about it. Well, the passing game was, dude, really? Like, when you run the ball a lot, you're successful. You usually don't blow teams out. It usually isn't a huge margin of victory. It's usually you beat up on a team, the score may be closer than what it may look, or what the score may be close on the scoreboard than the actuality what the game really was. That's the running game. It drains the clock. It's a slower game. That's what it is. And then now there are people complaining about the passing game again. So, all right, so you want them to throw the ball 55 times a game, throw for 400 yards, and then you sit there and complain about us not having a running game? I mean, come on. I mean, I think what the Bills have done is they show they can win games all different type of ways. In recent memory, I don't remember seeing the Bills team that showed they can win the ball running, they can win the ball passing, they can win the game. They can win the game running, passing. They can win the game when they're struggling offensively totally, and the defense can carry them. They've showed all that. They showed that you can trust the special teams. Bass came through in the clutch multiple times. So they've showed they're battle tested. They've showed the resiliency. They're resilient. So it's like this team has showed they can win a bunch of different ways. So heading into the playoffs, for me, there's really no question. Like, okay, wonder if we get into a game we got to run the ball a lot. Wonder if we get in a game where they force us to throw the ball on it. Like, if you got to win the game ugly, let's get it. We can do that too. We've done that.
Correct.
So, and we've done that against Baltimore with a healthy Lamar Jackson. So,
right.
I think it's a plus, man. I'm very excited. Running backs, they understand they understand the scheme. They understand what they're doing. James Cook understands what he's doing. So I guarantee you, they probably cut out about 6 running plays for him to practice. To really just, this is what you're doing. These are the plays we'll run if you're going to run the ball. These are going to be your main plays. Yeah, they'll run other plays, but these are your main plays.
Now, why did they do that?
Because to get him comfortable. Because you could tell at times he was overwhelmed, and his body was moving faster than his mind. That's why he was tripping and falling and all of that. Like, your body want to do it, but it's like you thinking too much. You got to all work together. So now, as you see, he's a lot more comfortable. When he overthinks, when his mind is spinning, then he's not sure. You see he'll start stumbling a lot. He'll trip. It's because his body's ahead of his mind.
And he had one of those that game too, because
his body's ahead of his mind. He wanted to do something. My freshman year of college, I know exactly how he felt. I get in the game, I'm like, I'm taking this to the house, and I'm tripping and falling all over the place, right? It's because his body's ahead of his mind. So,
how long did it take you to get out of that phase?
In college?
No, NFL, pro, college, whatever, just in general.
Wasn't NFL long enough to say I got out of it. But college, I started to feel comfortable midway through my midway to end of my freshman year. Sophomore year, I had a really good feel for it, and junior year, it was lights out. But that second year was like, okay, I got this.
Yeah. And actually, Bills Mafia Productions put a good comment here in the chat where he says James Cook is tied with Breece Hall for the highest yards per carry by running back with at least 80 carries. 5.8 yards per carry. And this is why, like I said, I was saying a few weeks ago, like, hey, this guy, he's going to be our starting back next year. I'm with you. I would love to see us retain Devin Singletary. Absolutely would love to see that. I don't know if it's going to be in the cards with the money, but I think it was a few weeks ago, it was me, you, and Sarah on here, and we were talking about James Cook's role on this team, and I specifically said that he's struggling in the passing game a little bit, right? And this is what we thought that his role was going to be coming into the season, was a 3rd round back, some sorts of that. Sort of what we kind of traded for Nyheim Hines for now. And I said, well, I know he seems to be uncomfortable in the passing game. He's not getting to his marks like he should be getting to. But the fact that he's looking more and more comfortable in the run game is more important to me at this point in time, for a simple fact that I do feel that he's going to be the starting back next year. And I want him comfortable in the run game, because he'll have all offseason, a full mini camp, a full training camp, and a full preseason. Plus just, honestly, 18 to 20 games under his belt to get comfortable in the run game. And then pass protection, just something totally different. It's just something that he'll have to get better at that too. But we'll take one step at a time. I said, okay, we're getting the fruits of our labor now. We're understanding why the Bills drafted this kid in the 2nd round at this point in time. When you see him hitting holes and him taking balls for 20 yards and 30 yards and 40 yards, and actually wondering, is he going to take this ball completely to the house? This is why we drafted. Now, mind you, this title says Double Runs for 107 yards combined. It was actually 207 yards. So that's a typo. So I want to make sure that we got every yard, like every vote is counted for. Every yard is accounted for. I can't say enough about Devin Singletary, though. I'll continue to say this. I absolutely love what he brings to the table. I absolutely love what he does as a running back.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, I mean, if you've ever encountered him, met him as a person, he's such a nice and humble kid. He really is. Really, really, really good dude there. A lot of values there. But as far as the football player goes, I sure hope that Buffalo can find a way to bring him back with money-wise. Because what he does is he's bringing us efficiency in the passing game. He's become a lot better pass blocker. And in the running game, I mean, first of all, his vision's insane. Okay, there's a lot of carries that will be 1 yard or 2 yard losses in that backfield, and Devin makes the first guy miss.
Yo, he rarely is tackled with the first person. He hit people with that dead leg. Pop, pop. He breaking them up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't get enough respect for what he does, and when our running game at times has been just inconsistent and to some people not good, he's most likely always been pretty consistent. The only thing that's really been inconsistent was his carries. And I was looking at the numbers, and I believe I want to say he's like 200 yards away from 1,000. He's like 210 or something like that, 203 away from 1,000. And I'm like, come on, man, please get it. I want to see him get that. I want to see him get that 1K. I want to see him get that 1K, man, so bad. And I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but the Bills are 2 yards rushing from getting 2,000 yards as a unit this season. I'm sorry, 2,000 yards, just Josh, Cook, and Devin. It's not including everybody else who ran the ball this year. They're over 2,000 yards for everybody else. But just Josh, Cook, and Devin are 2 yards away from 2,000 yards. But back to Motor, man. I mean, when he goes, this offense really goes. And it's been like that for a few years.
Yeah.
It's just...
honestly, JT, I think the way him and Cook look together, I don't think they'll let him walk.
I would hope not. I would hope not. But, I mean, like I said, what do you
have? Because think about if you let him go, you got to sign somebody anyway.
You do. So you just pay the extra $1 million, $2 million.
You pay him, give him another 2-3 years, and roll with it.
I mean, look at the guy's numbers this year is just. I mean, they're phenomenal. Another season with 4.6 yards to carry, 790 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns, and obviously we talked about touchdowns before. Josh takes so many touchdowns away from the running backs.
But they're starting to trust him on that goal line, giving him more carries on that goal line.
Yeah. Another 37 yards receptions. Like, he needs 5 receptions this year to beat his total from last year of actually, wait, let me make sure I got that correct here. Wait a minute. Because he was projected to have 42 catches this year. But, I mean, just in general, the dude may give you 50 catches this year and 1,000 yards at 4.6 yards to carry. Now, he's lost 2 fumbles this year. Obviously not. It's not I don't think it's the biggest deal. You know what I mean?
No.
But I mean, the carries are just not there for him to put up huge numbers. But I keep saying, if you give him the carries, he's gonna produce. And we're seeing this. Josh has struggled this season, and it's been times that Singletary has kept this offense potent when Josh is not on. And to be real with you, when you look at the holes at the offensive line, and shout out to the offensive line too that game. With Mitch Morris out, those dudes created holes like I haven't seen them create holes in a few years.
JT, they getting after it, man.
Yeah.
Getting after it.
If they wanted to run for 400 yards in that game as a team, they probably could have. Yeah. The Bears could do nothing about it.
I totally agree. And I don't want to get too far off topic, but it makes you think right now the way Ryan Bates playing at center. And I was in disagreement with you. The way he's playing that center, JT, you talking that talk. You talking that talk. You was right, man. I mean, the way Bates playing that center. And he's locked in. We paid him for 4 years, right?
4 years. And speaking of this running game, and if you guys don't know what we're referencing, is a few weeks back, I don't know if I even said it on the show. Maybe it was on the phone. I don't know which one I said it on. I was saying that, the Bills are going to have to make tough decisions. Obviously, that's just common sense. We all know that the Bills have to make tough decisions this offseason to get creative with the cap space. Well, if you were to trade Mitch Morse post June 1st, I believe you save about $8 to $9 million, and you'll end up losing about $3 dead. I think it's something around there. And I was saying that you can always kick Ryan Bates over the center, and if you want to keep Saffold, that's fine. If you don't, then you could actually draft 2 guards or figure that process out. But I'm in agreement that you may want to kick Ryan Bates over the center. And yes, Cindy, you're right. I mean, Mitch Morph, that's concussion. She's saying that's concussion number 9.
Oh, my God.
It's 6 documented. But as a football player, you normally have more. So she's probably right on line. You know what I mean? It's going to become a danger to his health. And obviously, if he chooses to retire, it'll probably be post June 1st when it'll be official. So he'll help the Bills out with cap space so the dead cap be less.
Yeah, I think about it like this now. I mean, and this health reasons, not just play reasons.
Yeah.
Retire. Like he has a good family life. It's not worth continuing to roll the dice there. Right. Move Bates over the center. Bring Saffold back. I think you get him at a bargain price because he's had some rocky moments. And draft 2 guards. You draft your replacement for Roger Saffold after next season. And those 2 are also competing for the starting right guard spot.
I agree. No, I agree. I'm in agreement with you there. I think that's as far as roster goes, it's a smart move. As far as cap space goes, it's a smart move. I think that's at the guards position. You got to find a big mauler.
Yeah, they was trying Doyle there too, right? Before he got hurt, right?
Yeah. Tommy Doyle was starting there, was trying there as well. But you got to find a mauler there at some point. You got to do that. But no. Yes, before I close off on Devin, I just want to say that, he has 790 yards in the season. So he's exactly 210 yards away from 1,000 yards. I hope he gets it. He's going
to have a big game Sunday night. We'll talk about that. I think he'll have a big game.
He's going to have a shot. So, but no, that the run game is key. I think going into the playoffs, this is going to be huge. And like I said before, we don't know, even if we get this home field advantage, you never know what the weather is going to be. So the fact that, touching on your point that, breaking news, the Raiders have just benched David Carr in favor of Jarrett Stidham. That's stupid, but whatever. That ain't our team. But that means he's going to get traded in the offseason. That's what that means. And the Jets will come knocking. That's something I wouldn't want to see happen. That's a whole other story for another day right there. Just saying. The Jets could be happening with Derek Carr. Watch out for that one. This running game could be key. Key, and I hope this thing leads us to a Super Bowl, because I keep saying you can't go into playoffs without a running game. You absolutely cannot do it. Bills are showing they can run the ball. I agree with you. It's obvious that there's an emphasis put on it. That offensive line is blocking different. When I've talked to other players about the emphasis. When I've talked to Reggie Incognito, when I've talked to Eric Wood, they all said that if you want to run the football, the emphasis and the reps have to be there. You've said it already earlier in the year. You're saying it again. You're seeing the emphasis put. I think we're seeing that happen. We see why. We know why. So, with that, these 2 running backs are running. They're electric, and they're running for chunks and touchdowns now.
Yep.
So, but I wanted to talk about obviously Stephon Diggs' lack of involvement. So there was some chatter this week around the social media platforms that obviously Stephon finished the Bears game with 2 catches on only 2 targets for 26 yards. And we talked about this earlier in the year, where there's pros to have it, to force feeding the ball, and there's also cons. Mm-hmm. I thought that obviously the pros is that Stephon Diggs, he's an all-pro receiver. In my book, he's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. There's always benefit of getting the balls into his hands, right? Things happen when you do.
Yep.
The con was Well, we didn't have guys like Dawson Knox involved. There were stretches where we didn't see Gabe Davis involved. There were stretches where we went completely away from the run game. And we know that we're going to face some team in the playoffs that's smart enough to be able to bracket him. Well, now the Bills just put up 35 points this week with Stephon Diggs having 2 receptions on 2 targets.
That's dangerous.
I agree. So now I want you to tell me, why is this dangerous to you?
Now, when you game plan, I'm a defensive coordinator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just say week 5.
Okay.
Stephon Diggs is going to get 12 targets.
Mm-hmm.
Let's limit him. Let's try to make everybody else make plays. And at that point in time, nobody was doing that. Now, let's fast forward. The Bengals, week 17.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dawson Knox can be productive, can hurt you. Gabe Davis can hurt you. The running backs are running the ball really well. Obviously, Josh Allen can hurt you. It's a lot more to game plan for it than just saying Stephon Diggs is going to hurt us if we don't contain him.
Right.
It's a lot more to game plan for it. That's what you want. That's called a well-rounded team. Those are the type of teams that win Super Bowls. When is the last time you had a team win the Super Bowl where one dude is catching all the passes and everybody else is just there?
No, you don't win Super Bowls that way. You have to have a certain amount of balance.
Absolutely.
And that's also balance with your receiving core. We've been calling for more targets to Dawson Knox. We've been calling for more use of Dawson Knox. Well, now we're seeing more use of Dawson Knox and we're seeing results. We're asking for more consistency from Gabe Davis, and we'll talk about that's going to be our last topic tonight is Gabe Davis, because there's some things I'm kind of tired of hearing that I want to address. We're seeing that now. We asked for running game. We're seeing that now. But unfortunately, when you see these things, those targets, those yardage, those plays have to come from somebody. And I'd say about midway through this season, it felt like Stephon Diggs was like 70% of his offense.
Mm-hmm.
And you simply cannot win. You can get to the playoffs that way. The Lions did it for years with Megatron and things as such. But you cannot win Super Bowls that way.
Nope.
The Rams kind of got a little lucky with the Cooper Kupp thing because they was on their way to Super Bowl loss last year.
Odell Beckham was the MVP until he got hurt. That helped him.
Right. And then you had Aaron Donald and Von Miller, why we brought Von Miller here. And other plays like that making plays on the defensive side of the ball and Jalen Ramsey. The Bills are without Von Miller. The Bills are without Micah Hyde currently. Trey White is still working himself back into form. So we can't necessarily rely on the playmakers that we would on the defense side of the ball to make those superstar plays. Not good plays, because these guys are playing good on the defense side of the ball. But we're talking about those clutch superstar plays. Those plays that only a few that can make in crunch time of games. Consistently. Some of those guys are not there yet. They're not there, and Trey White is not there back healthy enough yet. So it has to come from the offense. If the offense is 70% built around Stephon Diggs, then what's going to happen when a team brackets you? You're going to get blown out. Well, now on film, going into the playoffs, we're showing Dawson Knox. We're showing Gabe Davis, who, once again, Gabe Davis is, I've checked the stats to make sure, but I believe he's a 203 yards from 1,000 yards on the season here. What I did like to see is even though he had 2 targets that game, there was no complaining on the sideline this time. The Bills are running the football. They're running the football effectively. There was no complaining from Stephon Diggs. In other weeks we've seen Green Bay, we saw him pull himself off the field. Versus New England, we heard him say, "Give me the ball." Versus Minnesota, we've seen him getting animated, "Give me the ball." And I want to ask you, because we were going to talk about that last week, we didn't even end up going. Is that a concern to you that a receiver continues to ask for a ball?
No.
Like,
if he didn't, I don't have a problem with it. We need it. Your number one got to be an alpha. Need that. I need that. If my receiver is not, yo, man, get me the ball. I don't know how I'm feeling about that. Even on my youth team, my number one receiver win the clutch. By coach, I can get me the rock. I need that, man. You need that. You need an alpha. You don't need no beta at a bunch of betas running around there. You need an alpha. Somebody that's confident. You need that. And I'm totally fine with that.
Beta. Yeah, it's funny. We don't want no beta. We want alphas. I get it.
As your number one, you don't want that.
At any point, at what point does it become cancerous?
Well, cancerous is when it's, man, we losing because you won't give me the ball. Man, y'all need to give me the ball more because blah, 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 blah. That's cancerous.
Okay.
What he's doing is asking for the ball to make plays to help the team. Now he's asking for these in clutch situations like, yo, give me the ball. I can make this play. What's up? Mm-hmm. He's not, we blowing somebody out and he just want to pad his stats. It's a different type of thing.
Okay. No, it makes sense. I just wanted to make sure. And actually, my guy Anthony Farrell's always looking out for me. Showed me Mitch Morse's contract. If he was a cut pre-June 1st, I believe it's 6 saved, 5.2 dead, which is why I think post-June 1st it goes to like 8.3 saved and like 3.5 or something dead. So, I mean, I'm not saying we're not animating. The guy's a Pro Bowler. For instance, we're not saying Mitch Morse has not played well, but we are looking at the obvious that, hey, this guy has a couple concussions and this may be the route we have to take. Yep. So, you know. But no, like I said, I'm loving that the Bills, and to go back to your point, are finding multiple ways to win football games. And now you've shown me in possibly back-to-back games that you can win without Stephon Diggs having his best day. This was his lowest target amount of the year. Yep. He's had one other game this season where he had fewer than 5 targets in a game.
And we still put that work in.
And we still put the work in. Right. So, I think the only, that's the only game. So, I thought it was more concerning when we were in the beginning of the season that he was getting like 13 targets and 15 targets. That was a little concerning to me.
Yeah. Look at the Rams. Cooper Kupp was at everything. He got hurt and it was over.
And that's the other aspect of it, right? You take those many targets and you're getting receptions off of them. That means you're also taking that work, those hits.
Yeah. So we all right.
So I mean, either way, like I said, as far as his involvement, it doesn't concern me. Now, if we have back-to-back games like he had in Chicago and there's only 2 targets, then I may ask a little question, hey, what are we doing here? Well, what's the game plan here? Okay? We need him to have a big game in this Bengals game. And this is the type game that on this stage, on this platform, we've seen Stephon Diggs have some of his best games, especially on Monday Night Football in the Buffalo Bills uniform.
And who they going to have on him? Eli Apple or... who else they got at corner over there?
Let me take a look real quick. Let me just take a look real quick. I don't know. I mean, I'd assume it may be Eli Apple. It seems like that's the guy that they put on everybody to feel more comfortable with. But so you got Cam Taylor-Britt, you got Eli Apple, and then you have Mike Hilton.
Okay.
It's not a bad secondary at all. I mean, they're not bad. No. They're not exactly the toughest secondary we've gone against either. So I think if you're going to ask me matchup, I think the matchup is probably going to be Eli Apple. And
then was the problem? This going to be a Stephon Diggs he going to eat food. He going to eat now. But this is one of them games where you're looking for Gabe Davis may break out.
Like I said, 203 yards away from 1,000. Just the time to get it.
Absolutely.
And that brings us right back into the final topic of the day that I really want to talk about. So, as Gabe Davis nears this 1,000-yard mark, I've constantly seen on Facebook and on Twitter and different platforms that he's not a number 2 receiver in this league, right?
Yeah.
And every time I hear that, it completely makes me cringe, because I think that people forget what the definition of a number 2, a wide player is a number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
So James, I really want you to explain, because we were talking about this the other day. What is a number 2 receiver in your definition?
For me, when you talk number 2 receiver, right? Mm-hmm. It's somebody that it's not a guy that's going to carry your offense, period, right?
Right.
He's that Robin, so to say. If you're lucky, you get a Robin, a guy that's going to hold it down. And I think Gabe Davis has more than done that. To have 2,000-yard receivers, do you realize how rare that is? Like, teams will just do that for fun, right? So
Right.
number 2 receiver for me is somebody that does have flaws, you know, and it will rear his ugly head at times, but he's somebody that can also hurt teams, and that's what I think. You know, somebody and reliable. He's a reliable guy. And does he have his flaws? Yeah, he has some flaws. And if not, you know, he would. You know, if he didn't have flaws, he would have been a first round pick, and you know, he wouldn't be here because we wouldn't have had the chance to draft him with his speed, size, and everything. So he does have some flaws here and there, but I hope we can keep him long term. Probably not realistic, but he's a hell of a number 2. One of the top number 2s to me.
Right. Well, the fact that he's bought a house in Buffalo already and things can change quick, I think that's going to be something we keep. That we keep him in house. So we're going to go over his numbers. He has 45 receptions for 797 yards. Okay. He does have 7 drops on the season. His drop percentage is 8.4% compared to the 7.9% he had last year. And there's been 5 interceptions thrown his way out of Josh's. What Josh have 13 interceptions or something like that?
Yeah, 12 or 13, something like 12.
So 5 of them has been to Gabe Davis, and his QB rating is down to a 90 QB rating from 103 from last year. So there's obviously been some moments this year where him and Josh have not been on the same page. But once again, 33 first downs, 797 yards. His catch percentage is still around the 55% mark. That's where he's been almost every season. His catch percentage. Would we like to see more catches out of the 83 targets? Absolutely. We'll let us see that catch percentage get up to around 60%, 62% at least. That's not who he is. Okay? No. It's not who he is. But you can't tell me a guy that has 797 yards receiving is not a number 2 receiver. Because I compiled a list of number 2 receivers around the league. And on this list I had, you know, and some of them are questionable. Some of them are kind of 1A, 1Bs, right? Corey Davis, Jalen Waddle, Jacoby Myers, Gabe Davis, T. Higgins, George Pickens, Demarcus Robinson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Zay Jones, Treylon Burks, Nico Collins, Paris Campbell, Mike Williams, Valdez-Scantling, Matt Collins, and Jerry Jeudy in the AFC alone is who I have as number 2 receivers.
Wait, Jerry Jeudy at 2?
Cortland Sutton would be, in my opinion, probably be considered number 1.
Okay.
So, and that they say that's what I mean. So there's certain players where you say, oh, they're number 2. Where for some teams they're 1A and 1Bs. Now, obviously, the Broncos' offense has been so bad and has not rode anywhere this season under Russell Wilson that we don't know who the number 1 is. We won't find out till next year, probably.
True.
Okay. But my point is, off that list alone, just in the AFC, I'd probably only take 2 guys at this point in time that I say definitively they're better than Gabe Davis. That's Jalen Waddle, who, like I said, on most teams he'd be at number 1. One of those curious.
It depends how you use them.
Right.
And that's the discussion to be had. I mean, the skill, you look at the skill set and him running the route tree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to argue that.
Right. T. Higgins, I think T. Higgins is a stud. I love that dude, and I think he's going to go somewhere and be a team's number 1.
And then Bengals fans, they have their moments with him where he has his flaws.
Right. I agree. That's just the AFC alone. Then if you go to the NFC, Cowboys, Michael Gallups, Giants, Richie James, Devontae Smith, Curtis Samuel, Christian Watson, Chase Claypool, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Chris Godwin, Traquan Smith, Olamide Zaccheaus, Terrence Marshall, Allen Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, Marquise Brown, and Tyler Lockett. So outside this entire NFL, I'd probably say I'd take Tyler Lockett. I'd be willing to take Marquise Brown's number 2 just because of what he does with his speed. Chris Godwin's a different animal.
But Marquise Brown is so unreliable. You can't.
Right. There's things, once again, there are certain flaws. There's certain things you cannot run with him because he's going to get hurt. And when he gets hurt, then he's not going to be there. He's not going to be available. No one talks about Gabe Davis's availability.
He played through that ankle injury. And if we was to waive him for some crazy reason, right, there'll be at least 25 teams that will put a waiver claim in him for ASAP to make him their number 2. Some number 1 team.
So when I say this is stop asking if he's a number 2 receiver. It's literally one of the worst questions I have ever had to answer. Corey Davis, Jacoby Myers.
It's actually insulting when people even bring that up.
Yeah,
If he's number two,
yeah.
it's an insult.
Nico Collins, Paris Campbell, a guy we know very well, Zay Jones. When you start telling me names like that and they're number twos, and mind you, Gabe Davis has more yards than all of them, more touchdowns than all of them. Why are we asking this question? I'd be okay if we're asking and we say, hey, is this a guy we should lock up long term? Can he be replaced?
Should we pay him X dollars to stay type of thing?
Right. I understand that question. But to ask if he's a number two receiver, I think is just asinine. Your number two receiver is not always going to have 1,000 yards. They're not always going to have 1,200 yards. They're not always going to have 10 touchdowns. But this is a guy that we know is most likely, for the good portion of his career, is most likely going to give us, we'll say, 7 touchdowns a year at 850 to 900 yards. That's a solid number two. That's a very dependable number two receiver. And if we want to talk about the drops, yeah, I get frustrated with the drops as well. But at the end of the day, people talk about, well, he dropped the ball versus Jets. Well, he's always kind of dropped balls in key moments in games at times since the time he came in the league. If he caught all those balls, then he'd be a number one. He'd probably be getting some Christian Kirk money somewhere. And hell, to be honest with you, if Buffalo don't extend him, he still may go get Christian Kirk money from somewhere. He's a talented guy. And I hope he hits the 1,000-yard mark. But please, don't ask me this question again. Unless you're going to go to the list of all 32 teams in this league and give me all number twos. But out of all those names I just gave you, at the most, you could say that 7 of those, 6 to 7 of those guys are definitively better than Gabe Davis. That's not much of a problem.
I think he's a top 30 wide receiver in the NFL. I don't know if you can name 30 better now.
I probably agree with you. If we went through the entire list of every team's number 1 and 2, he's probably on the fringe of that. But guess what?
And clear cut better. Not no. Let's have we can have a discussion about it. Clear cut better. It's not 30 better in my opinion.
No, I agree. I agree. I'm like I said. I'm totally on board with you with that. I just think that the question is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's an insult.
I think that at times, when the Bills are struggling or someone's not playing, we get bored. The team's 12-3. They're winning. They're possibly on their way to a 14-3 season, and we have to find something to talk about because people want to shy away from talking about from Josh Allen a lot of times. Let's just be honest about it. So we have to find other things to talk about. So we find questions like this to comment on and say, well, I don't know about Gabe. You know, it's just like people on Twitter who comment on just random BS, criticizing everything. You guys criticizing people like Nyheim Hines in returns and saying Nyheim Hines regressed returning the ball. Just dumb things like that. It's like we literally have to search for things to complain about.
Yeah, when we was literally making sure like, we will be happy with not picking in the top 15 in the draft a few years ago. Now people are just complaining about the dumbest stuff. It's just, I don't know.
Let me stop it. Nyheim Hines punt returns that flipped the field twice in 2 games.
Literally.
2 games.
He's a beast, man.
Right, and I finally get what you're saying about not worrying about somebody's going to catch the ball on a punt return.
We don't got to worry about that no more. They knew that. They knew it, and I've been saying it for the longest. We were going to lose a game because of the returner. We were going to lose one. We don't got to worry about it now.
No. So, as far as Gabe Davis goes, stop asking me that question. He's a number 2 receiver. He's a bona fide. I would put the word bona fide number 2. And honestly, in the offseason, if he can refine the route running just a little bit more, get a little bit better at that, and make those hands a little bit more sure, he's a number 1B. He's not even a 2. He's a 1B. And there's very few teams in the league that have 1A and 1B. And the reason most teams don't, because it's a very expensive position, just like cornerback. It's very hard having 2 number 1 cornerbacks or 2 number 1 receivers because you have to pay for that. And right now you're paying a premium. Thank Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, and most importantly, Christian Kirk. You're paying for that now.
Absolutely.
And that's an expensive check. But moving on, obviously this big game versus the Bengals coming up. I think this is. Would you say this is the biggest regular season game the Bills have had in the last 3 years?
I do. I think so. Because this kind of put us in position. We got to win that New England game next week, obviously. But this will put us in position to really seal the deal with saying, hey, we legit, because these dudes are the AFC champs. And it's like, hey, we locking up the number 1 seed. Let's go. So I think it's the biggest game. Them KC games, that was just more like for fans, the moral, that type of thing. Listen, this is for real. Like this is for something. So I think it's important.
This is for the number 1 seed because the way I look at it like this, right? Whoever wins this game they're not going to lose that next game. Because the Bengals win this game, they beat the Bills. They also own the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. Both teams own the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. They both beat the Chiefs this year. I think just besides that, this is the biggest game because it's away. It's in Cincinnati. It's a team that we're unfamiliar with. We haven't seen Joe Burrow.
Yep.
We haven't seen Jamar Chase. We've seen Patrick Mahomes multiple times. We've seen Justin Herbert. We've seen Tua and the Dolphins multiple times this season alone. We've seen Lamar Jackson multiple times in the last couple of years. So from those teams, we know what to expect. We have not seen the Cincinnati Bengals. And as a pure football fan, that's why I want to see this matchup so much.
Yep.
Because we ain't seen them.
It's a perfect game for a Monday night game. It's a huge big game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we've seen everybody but Joe Burrow. And I'm not saying Joe Burrow's going to cover. I'm not saying Jamar Chase is going to cover us up, or they won't. I don't know. I'm curious of the matchup. I'm curious to see how this Bills defense responds to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, because early in the year we had trouble guarding Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
We had trouble guarding Justin Jefferson. How far has this secondary come from those struggles early on? I want to see. Well, the Bengals played a Rams team in the Super Bowl, and if they did not have Von Miller, they may win that game most likely.
Huh?
Well, now the Bills don't have Von Miller. But now the Bengals don't have Lyle Collins.
That was a big one.
And that's what I'm saying. This matchup is so damn intriguing. You know, the Bengals have a guy in Hayden Hurst who's killed us in the past.
Yeah.
But then you look at that Bengals defense, and you look at that secondary, and that defense can be suspect. It can be extremely suspect. Well, now you're coming into and you're facing the Buffalo Bills team, who are putting up 100 to 200 to 150, 200 yards on the ground. None of these defensive linemen in Cincinnati, just like we ain't seen Joe Burrow, these Cincinnati Bengals hadn't seen Josh Allen. So I don't know.
You're right. I'm excited about it. So I'll have me some chicken wings. I should have took the day off of work on Tuesday, so I had to worry about getting up to work. But I'll be excited, man. I'll be excited.
Fonzo Edwards asked a good question. And you know what? I think yes. Does Trey cover Jamar Chase in this game?
I think they do what they usually do. He stay on his side, and you got to trust the other side. You got to do what you do. That's we haven't had corners really shadow people much in the past. I don't think they changed that up.
Yeah, I mean it is interesting, man. Like I said, I can't. And then Joe Mixon.
Yeah, Stephen McLeod just put Jamar Chase and Higgins. I'm worried about. I'm not.
No,
their running backs is what worry me. Because they'll be able to control the game. This turns into a shootout, we're going to beat them. If they try to turn into a shootout, we're going to beat them. If Joe Mixon gets going, and then
Is he healthy? Where's his health? While you talking, I'm gonna look up his health. Go ahead.
And then P. Ryan, they run the ball hard, man. You know, them dudes can play, and we can't let them get that running game going. We can't.
I actually makes a return last game versus the Patriots. There, he had 16 for 65.
Yeah, we can't let them run. Hell with them receivers. We can't. They're not going to beat us just throwing the ball over the arc. It's not going to happen. In my opinion, it's not going to happen.
And all I'm going to say is, would you consider Joe Mixon a top 7 NFL back?
To me, I love his style. I consider him the better running backs in the league. Yeah, I do.
Well, for this season, I just want to give you some numbers. Joe Mixon has 199 carries for 787 yards and 6 touchdowns.
I love it. Because you know why? People talk that Singletary stuff.
I'm just saying, Devin Singletary has. I just want to go back to this. Just give me 1 second here.
Oh, okay. JT, we putting that on the page. You talking that talk, JT?
I just want to say that Devin Singletary has 170 carries for 790 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Oh, I'm about to piss some people off on Twitter.
I just want to say that's all. I just want to throw that out there for our Devin Singletary haters out there. 9 less carries, a couple more yards, almost the same amount of touchdowns. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I just randomly looked up Mixon stats and just caught that. Just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, no. But back, it's gonna be interesting to see, and I think that the advantage will always go to the Buffalo Bills when they see a team twice. So I'm gonna say that the Bengals may have the advantage this game going into this one. They have home field. They have Monday night. They have the 2 backs. You got the 2 receivers. I still think this game Buffalo should win. Okay? But I'm going to say advantage Cincinnati because of all those other things going on. Good thing for the Buffalo Bills is when you're an elite team, advantages don't always matter. You just are who you are and you're that damn good.
You know what the Bills, what I think, and a lot of people don't take into account why I think the Bills are going to come out firing. Mm-hmm. When they're going to be motivated, they're going to be excited. But you realize how much better the weather is going to be there. They're going to be. Listen, as a player, I'll never forget. Listen, you played in some 3-4 cold games, then you're going to play somewhere that's fairly decent. Oh, man, come on, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I said, I just think this is huge. This is huge. Like this is really something. And at this game, at this point in time in the season, I didn't think that this game would mean that much.
Me neither. Season. I ain't gonna lie, me neither. But we win this game is huge because I think that bye would be great for us. But we could say that for another day. But I want to see us take care of business. I want to see us be physical. And I think we got the boys to do that on defense. That's why if they can't run the ball on us, they're in trouble.
I agree. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, and this is why a season is very long, right? If you don't think that this Bills team is going to learn from the Amari Cooper game, the Justin Jefferson game, if you think guys like Dane Jackson, guys like Kyrie Elam, Christian Benford's not there right now, DeMar Hamlin didn't learn from the growing pains of those games to get to this point right here.
That's what's great about playing them all that early, like playing those guys so much early, that experience.
Yeah. As much as we love to say that the offense have won games multiple ways, the defense have been just as battle-tested.
Yep.
If you had to prepare for Waddle and Hill and Justin Jefferson, and you had to play, and you had to get ready for Amari Cooper and different guys as such, then you should in tune be ready to go against T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. The biggest difference is Joe Burrow isn't as mobile as some of those other quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
And where people say Joe Burrow is elite, I still don't put him on my elite list. I think he's a very good quarterback. It's just something about it to me, and I could be totally off base with this. He just doesn't go on my elite list. I think he gets yardage. I think sometimes there's a lot of inconsistent play there.
A lot of people get caught up on the yardage. Like people look at the stats. Oh, he threw for 400. And, like a lot of people get caught up on that.
Actually, I think Randall Buck is a. I think he said he was a Dolphin fan, which is cool. Thank you for tuning into the show. Even as a Dolphin fan, we'll definitely welcome you. He asked a question. He said, "Off topic, do you guys think the Dolphins should go away from Tua and possibly sign Lamar Jackson, a low quarterback, or would you keep Tua?" That's actually a pretty good question.
Yeah. JT, if it's me, I'm sitting him the rest of the year and I'm keeping him.
Okay, I'm doing the same. I think that, and this is not off topic. Don't worry about being off topic. I think that our AFC East buddy there has had a phenomenal season. I think that he should have silenced a lot of the haters. Mm-hmm. I think that he's in an offense that suits him. I think he's in an offense that they've put people around him, and I said it before that. And
he's the second best quarterback in the division.
He is. And honestly, if it wasn't for the early concussion, this may be a whole totally just different discussion about them. The 2 or 3 games that he missed with the first concussion. Okay. And honestly, if he doesn't go out that Bengals game, maybe the Bengals don't win that game. Maybe this is a whole different discussion. Like Tua getting that early concussion changed a lot of things. I think that he's one of the better quarterbacks in the AFC, and I do believe he deserved a Pro Bowl berth. I'm sitting in the rest of this year, and I'm banking on next year I'm playing him. He's a scary cat. And I love what Miami is doing, and I love the fact that they kind of got Brian Flores out of there. And not that Brian Flores is a bad coach, but that wasn't his quarterback. And if you were ever going to develop Tua, you had to get him away from him.
Yep.
Flores didn't want him. There's resentment there from the Justin Herbert draft pick that didn't happen, that he wanted to happen, and he was taken out on, I said it last year, on a undeserving guy. Tua's a great individual. You can tell, you can look at certain people like, hey, this guy's a humble and great individual. And I hope Miami keeps him long term. I think he's a great fit there. I love the team that they built around him, personally.
Absolutely.
So that's how I feel about him. But shout out to him and thank you, Randall. Even though you're a Dolphin,
yeah, definitely
you watching the show.
You're always welcome here.
Always. We just love talking ball too, my man. Cedric Jones, we asked a couple questions before we got out of here. Cedric Johnson at Welch asks, can Dane Jackson cover Chase or Higgins? Teams target his side a lot. You go ahead, James. You can go with this one.
I definitely think so. I mean, nobody in this league is just going to cover Jamar Chase. Not going to happen. I mean, if you expect somebody, Deion Sanders ain't been in the league for a long time now. So any outside of that, or Darrelle Revis, dude, he gonna get his. He's a baller. Now, T. Higgins is a different story. I personally think Kyer Elam matches up better with Higgins than anybody because he's so physical and he has size and he's so athletic. Yeah. I think he matches up great with Higgins.
Actually, while you're talking about that, I just want to see I want to see his Elam snap count. Because obviously it's a guy who
it looked like they split last game, if I'm not mistaken.
They did split. So he last game was 48%. The Miami game was 47%.
Yep.
So once again, this is a guy that they slowed down. They went back to the drawing board with him, and that may pay big dividends now.
And let's not forget, Dane Jackson has played some meaningful snaps against some hella receivers in big games for us and held his own. People forget.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He was our number one corner last year, and he held it down.
Well, I say this: if Dane Jackson shows that he cannot cover one of these guys early in the game, then you're gonna see Kyer Elam for the rest of the game, and that's the benefit of having depth.
Yep. That's something.
That's the benefit of having depth.
Rose may be active this game too.
It wouldn't surprise me if they sat a defensive lineman and activated one more corner. Or they sat a receiver.
The new one we just signed to the active roster was Bryant. Did we sign him to active or practice squad?
Was it Bryant or Kingsley?
Kingsley, we brought him up from the practice squad to make him.
And he had a hell of a game too. Shout out to him.
Yeah, he did. He did. Fresh legs, man. But yeah, they may have roles active for this game.
Yeah, I think this is a game where if you have to keep 7 cornerbacks active, you do it. So, but James, obviously Randall Buck gives us his prediction time. What do you think the score is going to be, and what you got?
Let's do this. Let's throw a twist in it.
Okay, twist it up.
3. We're gonna do 3 different things.
Okay.
Prediction for this week. Or 2 different things. This prediction for this week, and then a bold prediction for the rest of the season.
Okay, bold prediction. Let's go.
My prediction: I think the Bills gonna win. 31-21, 31-24, something like that. A bold prediction for the rest of the year: Micah Hyde coming back.
Micah Hyde coming back. Hey, I mean, nowhere to hide. I feel you. Okay. Bold prediction. Okay. You know, like I said, that Micah Hyde thing would be absolutely huge. And it'd be huge because not only is he like the leader of our secondary, he's one of the best free safeties in the league, one of the best safeties over in the league overall. But at the same time, you have guys that have been battle tested like Damar Hamlin that can play roles in different scenarios. So it gives you a lot of versatility.
Don't be surprised if they open this window to practice next week. I'm just throwing it out there as a bold prediction.
Okay, we keep receipt on that one. We won't keep the receipt on that one. So as far as the game, I think that the Bills are going to win this one, 28-24. As far as prediction goes, I think that the more I thought about this, I think that Stephon Diggs absolutely has a monster game. It's almost like one of those balloons at this point in time where you just keep filling it up with water or air, and at some point it's going to burst. And I think this is the game going to be. It's going to burst open. I don't think you have another individual on that Bengals team that can guard him in a phone booth.
No. If I'm them, I'm worried because of what we got. If I'm them, I'm worried. I'm more worried if I'm a Bengals coach than the Bills coach.
As Tre'Davious White, I would love to see, and they go back to Fonzo Edwards' point earlier, I'd love to see Tre'Davious White matched up with Jamar Chase as much as possible in this game. And this has nothing to do with Trey White being able to stop Jamar Chase at this point in time. It's more or less ramping him up even more. Get him ready to go for the playoffs. This is the best matchup he's going to have going into the playoffs. God knows he ain't got nobody to match up like that versus New England next week. Okay? We need him to be matched up with Jamar Chase as much as possible for the reps. You're not going to get reps like that versus a superstar in possibly any more games this season.
Yeah.
Let's be real about it. Even if you went to the AFC playoffs and let's say the Bills had number 1 seed and then maybe second round they played, I don't know, Jacksonville, maybe Tennessee or any of those teams outside of Cincinnati, even the Chiefs. There's no reps for like a Jamar Chase on any of those teams.
You're 100% right.
You can go to you can get all the way to the AFC to Super Bowl. And if it's not the Eagles staring you in the face, there may not be any reps like Jamar Chase the rest of his way.
Yeah.
So that's more the reason I love to see him match up with Chase as much as possible, because I think it's just going to put him in a different state. He comes out, he plays well, he's back. Because as we know, when you're coming back from injury, it's not only physical, it's partially mental.
Absolutely. You know what? I think the Bills may think different. I think they may think like this, JT. The Bills can survive a 200-yard day by Jamar Chase. We can win a game if he has 200 yards receiving. Easy. We can't survive a 200-yard rushing day.
Yeah. You're right.
Big difference.
Yeah. You're right.
And that might sound crazy to some, but it's the truth.
I agree with you. Like I said, I can't wait to this game. Like I said, I haven't been this up for a game in a while.
Yeah.
This is one that I'm up for because it's almost for all the marbles. And even though it's not the very last game of the season, anything can still happen in week 18. I mean, week 7. It was week 17 or week 18. Week
17.
18, right?
17.
Well, it's gonna be week 18.
17
right?
to 18 next week.
Right. So even though it's not week 18 and anything still happen, it almost feels like, listen, whoever wins this game, that's it. That's their number one seed. They're gonna win this week and they're gonna win the next week. And they're gonna close this out. Yeah, I guess I'll go for a pro prediction. I think that the Bills' running game takes off again. I think you're going to have 170 yards rushing between Allen, Cook, and Singletary. I think Jamar Chase is going to have his 130. But you gotta hold Mixon to under 70 yards rushing.
That's big. P. Ryan too with them short yardage.
Once again, similar to us, another guy who had to get called into duty. He just starting for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, that's it, man. I mean, I think that the Bills are going to win this game 28-24. I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think the Bills are going to get up early. I think the Bengals stay around. They'll fight. But I think that ultimately, this is the game where we need Ed Oliver to come alive, because Joe Burrow struggles with pressure and hits face from the inside.
Yep, that's for him. Daquan Jones, Jordan Phillips, all of them, and Tim Settle, they big.
That's it. Collapse the pocket. It's a guy who he can't scramble as much as other quarterbacks that we've played against. Collapse the pocket on him, make him feel uncomfortable. Let's just see if Joe's elite. I've been saying I don't believe he is. I believe he has elite traits. I believe he's a great quarterback. But I don't think he's up there with Mahomes and Allen. And Rodgers, I just don't. But he has a chance to shut me up. So, other than that, man, you got anything else today?
That's it, man. Go Bills, man. Y'all know, hey, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in. And, we'll be back next week, and hopefully with some good news.
Yeah, we're back. We're definitely back next week. I gotta check the schedule. I'm actually heading to gonna head to the Giants and Colts game on Sunday. I'm gonna see a couple different shades of blue. So I'm gonna head to that one on Sunday and check that out and see some of my guys over there play. Yeah, man. Other than that, I got nothing. On that, if you're in Buffalo, hopefully you're still safe. Your family members are safe. Stay off the roads. If they say you stay off the roads for a little bit, let them get this thing cleaned up so y'all can get back to normal life, as normal as it can be, as fast as possible. And I thank all you guys for watching, and all you guys are safe and sound that are watching in Buffalo. And I keep you in my prayers, and your family members in my prayers. Obviously, Buffalo's went through a whole lot this year, a whole lot. The city as a whole, and thank God that the Bills have been a major bright spot, and hopefully we can finish this deal this year and put a cap on a very up and down year for the city of Buffalo with the ultimate thing that could ever happen to the city, and that's a trophy. So, other than that, week 17, you got the Bengals coming up. Let's go on to Cincinnati and let's do what we got to do. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.